Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the AUD podcast channel. I'm your host Khaled Abul Jubain. We are honored to have Mr. Saleem Karsaz as our guest on the show today. Saleem is the group CEO of Aeon and Tristal Real Estate and is one of the most distinguished realtors in the UAE. He has played a pivotal role in shaping the landscape of Dubai real estate and was awarded the highest honor of being the #1 real estate broker by the Dubai Land Department. In this episode, you learn about the importance of building your support system. We settle the debate between renting or buying. We talk about the future of real estate and how to find opportunities in times of crisis. Please join me in welcoming to the show Mr. Saleem Karsaz.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for your time, man. We really appreciate it. I know you're a very busy man, so thank you for taking the time to come, sit down with us today. So guys, for the people who don't know, I could go on and on about the amazing things that Saleem has accomplished. He has been ranked the #1 broker by the Land Department numerous times. His agency has won Diamond Agency with Miras, Emar, Nakhil, whoever and anyone in real estate knows who this guy is. And Saleem has been a pivotal part of the Dubai real estate market and shaping it over the last 20 years. So for today, Saleem, I just kind of wanted to reflect on that journey because I believe you're in a very unique situation. Would love to hear about, how, the story and how we started and how, how do we get here? But I wanted to start first of all by asking you, as an esteemed alumni yourself, just like I am, how is your time at AUD and how do you feel that contributed to, I guess, the success where you are today?
So, in life, everything is, every dot is connected when you hear stories from people older than us and having more experience. I was actually bound to go to UK for higher studies.
Okay.
But in 2003, it was very difficult to get visas for people from Pakistan and the Middle East at that time to get there. So it happened to be that we ended up in Dubai.
Okay.
So at that time, a few of my friends, they were going to Dubai, and we found out that American University in Dubai and Sharjah exists at that time. Till that time, we were not even researching about it. And then it happened that we ended up here in AUD. Since then, if you see, I was meant to go back in 2007 when I would have graduated, but some incident happened in the family which remained to made me stay back here. So AUD holds a great value in my life, in my career, which has how it has been made way through life. Of course, the networking that I did here, the studies, the education that I got here, and education not only in studies, as in getting the education of how to connect with people, how to learn the culture here, the networking that we made here. So everything has played a major role, of course.
Absolutely.
It played a big role in my career.
Yeah. And Saleem, we've had many alumni on the podcast, and myself included, and we all seem to say the same thing, that yes, obviously the education was top tier and it helped us build out the careers that we have, but one key thing was the people that we met. And the networking. And because it's so multicultural, and some of the you hear endless stories about people who were at university together that now have businesses together, and that's all part of the AUD community. So I wanted to just come back a little bit and start from the beginning. Why real estate? Where does your passion for real estate come from? Why? Because I know you have a finance background. So what was the reason you're like, I think real estate is the area I want to go into?
So that's a funny story also, because when I graduated from here, as I mentioned in the previous talk, that we had some incident in our family business. So I had no choice but to stay back here.
Okay.
And since I was a finance major, so I was looking for a job here then. And I ended up working with Heniep Investment Bank, one of the investment banks in DFC. At a very, I had a job offer, higher valued, but that was a very stressful. I was hoping that was I was considering it as a very stressful job. So I took up that job there. So my condition was that when I will take the job, then the family would, like, consider to continue the support for the first part of the year in order to survive here.
Yeah.
Because the starting salary was not much. Because
Sure.
you're a beginner, of course, it's not that good. When the support came from the family, I decided to rent a house.
Okay.
So when I went to rent a house, the broker who had come to rent it out for me, I liked the house and I took the house, and then he said that you're supposed to pay this fee. I was like, what is this fee for? He's like, this fee is for the commission that we are going to charge you for making you go through the process. I was like, okay, so if I bring you somebody, will you share it with me? He was kind enough to say yes. So I had gone through that ad via Dubizzle.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Okay.
And I went back and I created a Dubizzle account. And I posted an ad for myself. So I got the call. Now the difference was that he was not working much
Sure.
on that account, right? So I posted like a number of ads, and probably I went higher than his ad. So I got a call in 2 days.
Okay.
And I took the client to him while I was still considering to either continue to work or not.
Sure.
Right. And that's when the first deal hit the next day.
Wow, no way.
So yeah,
Oh, wow.
It was not a big amount. It was a very nominal amount, but yes, it worked out.
But that gives you
That gave me
spark.
So then around me, of course, my colleagues around me offered me a unit for their friends and family, thinking that I could probably play a role. And it just happened to be that it got worked out in the next 2 weeks that I had a first sale deal.
Wow.
All right.
Okay.
So I thought I could do this.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Real estate was not part of my system at all. Of course, it was always either to do with textiles. My father, he had a textile business back home. We had a family business, which was doing quite well. But due to some situations in the family, and my father, he passed away in 2000. So, it happens that way that things were not working out.
Yeah.
So then it all started basically after that, and it just I then tend to leave the current job that I was in, and I started to do a bit of freelancing.
Mm-hmm.
I did almost like probably 6 months. Market was very good at that time. It was a buoyant market. We were looking at everything and anything that Jumeirah Beach residences had just recently been handed over at that time. So it was a great opportunity, good way of doing rentals. So I basically started everything from the very core beginning of how real estate works.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
the rental part, the sale part, and then probably around the year end, because I graduated 2007. Yeah, 2007, and probably 2007 end, a few of my friends decided to get together, and we started to open up a company. And probably by the next year, mid 2008, we were already in recession.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So we're still in the company now, and that's the bit. And then one of them decided to leave. One of them I've bought over in a few years. After a few years, 4-5 years. So then the journey is just part of life.
Yeah. No, for sure. I love entrepreneurship stories that happen by accident.
Yeah.
Like you're saying, because of a certain situation happen, and then coincidences happen. You meet this one realtor.
Yeah.
Okay, there might be something here. You go for rent. Okay, now I can sell it. So it's just, I love these stories because they're very serendipitous, and you're not planning or expecting them to happen. But you mentioned, so one thing I admire about entrepreneurs like you, Saleem, is when everything goes left, you're like, okay, now it's time to go right.
Yeah.
So you open your brokerage in 2008.
Yeah.
Then from 2008 to 2010 is the economic crisis. Then 2015 you join Aon as a merger, opening new markets. And then when 2019, you expand now to Pakistan. COVID comes, you're like, all right, great. COVID's here. Let's expand even further into Pakistan. So my question to you is, how do you have how did you have the mindset or the confidence to take on these risks when the whole world is telling you, like, you know, get small, conserve, hold, while some people, rare people, were like, no, this is the time to actually push because now is opportunity.
If you put it this way, until 2015, till we had the merger with Aon at that time, we were also very, very aggressive with marketing until 2015 also.
Okay.
So not only in 2015 when the merger happened, even when it was only Tristle initially, we were always having these boards on Sheikh Zayed Road next to Mall of the Emirates, or having intensive marketing in the newspapers, or supporting these magazines and radio ads, paper ads, and even these TV ads even at that time. Because I always believe that building a brand takes a long time. It is not overnight. Yes, of course, nowadays social media is there, which it was not there in those days, right? But in 2015, after the merger, and when I bought my partner out in 2014, and then the merger happened a year later or 6 months later, it opened horizons in Dubai at that time. Our team got bigger. We were in economies of scale because we were both companies
sharing resources
and targeting the same market, right? Moving on, 18 actually was the time we were actually wanting to. We had enough actually, because how much you could survive on just trying to make ends meet. To be honest, it was a tough time for the industry as a whole.
Yeah.
18 and 19. But at that time, I realized that there is a huge opportunity in international markets, and there is a big miss of a professional system, especially in real estate in Pakistan.
Okay.
And at the same time, we opened operations in London also.
Yes.
So London, we went in first. I could see a great momentum of properties being sold here. At that time, developers were very accommodative. Market was good, but they had longer payment plans, and they had facilities such as service charges waivers and so on and so forth. So that gave us an initial thing that we must explore a new market and sell Dubai and Abu Dhabi and Ras Al Khaimah in
those markets.
At that time. Along in UK, of course. In Pakistan, we planned to go there after COVID, not before. So in 2019, we opened operations in London, and that was also like I was just walking through. I just left my hotel and I saw a board on Park Street. There is office retail spaces available. And I called the agent and I said, I want to have a look. She's like, I'm available after 2 days. I said, I'm leaving in 2 days. I want to see it today. Anyway, she managed to show me, but the process which I was used to with liking it and then booking it and then processing it, it took a very long time. That taught me a bit of patience in the industry.
Yeah.
It takes a while.
And I guess different industries have different
ways of
regulations of how many steps you need before this clears, right?
Yes, exactly. And then after COVID, we decided to explore the Pakistan market. We thought that, the systems that we have learned from here, the professionalism that we've learned from working in Dubai, the way we've seen how people are comfortable sending, anybody from any part of their family to real estate offices to actually go ahead and purchase or take action or do any sort of things that can, make a impact on their real estate portfolio. That was not there. So we created a beautiful flagship office there on the main high street, and we created a team which now helps us in our Dubai office also, in our London office also, and we are just wanting to showcase Dubai and Abu Dhabi and Ras Al Khaimah and whichever properties which are there to be sold at this point in time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that as you were expanding there, you were expanding into that market to bring attract a bigger investors or more attention to, the market that we have here. And I've noticed, so, with the Aon merger and just reading your story, it seems that collaboration has been key to your success, picking and choosing the right people to work with and the right partners. Now, on that aspect, it can be counterintuitive because there's two schools of thought. There's your school, which is with collaboration, bigger piece of the pie, let's work together, we can get more. And then there's the other side that is like cutthroat, me versus you, I don't want to collaborate, I don't want to work with you. Now, obviously, there's probably no right or wrong way. Everyone has their own approach. But I'm curious, from your perspective, why does it seem like collaboration was the route that you took to success?
So I believe in growing and making sure people around me grow.
Okay.
And unless and until they don't grow, I don't think I can grow as a company or as an individual. And maybe people do not agree with my thought process, majority of them, because everybody is self-centric and they want to have everything for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe my mindset is everything is for the system, right?
Okay.
And there are two kind of approaches. One is short-term approach where you can be self-centric and individual and to yourself, probably selfish would not be the right word, but yes, it would relate to it. And all for yourself and make the money, and after a few years, it just becomes boring because you're just to yourself and you're just doing the same thing. Whereas when we expanded and as a company, I have one alumni from the university, my partner in Pakistan. I have another alumni who is a partner here in Dubai office. So we all decided to actually ensure that everybody has an ownership to the system.
Okay.
Because once they have the ownership to the system, they will bring about a similar impact and change to the organization.
Yeah.
Besides my friendship with them,
Sure.
that is a different reason
Mm-hmm.
for us to get together.
Sure.
But after getting together, the ownership that comes into place with the with the right morals and ethics that they have in themselves just leads the organization to go bigger and better.
Absolutely.
And these are people who are key in terms of the organization structure. We also have like almost 25 people who are either sales directors or associate partners running their own teams. So I've created this platform for people to grow within the organization. So like right now I feel I have like 25 other smaller real estate companies running in my system.
Yeah.
So either they could have gone out and opened their own setups, which is considerably easy to do, or they could have stayed and created together as a team a brand which is sustaining to be in the top 5 of the top 5 big 5 developers in Dubai.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what differentiates probably the thinking, the way I think, and probably what others would be doing.
Yeah, I like what you said. It's everything is to give back to the system, because if we can, the better the system is, the better that knock-on effect, down the line. And I love that it sounds like you give a lot of ownership to your employees to have the authority to run and manage their teams and their sales how they want to. And from everything I've learned from my experience in organizations and the books I've read is the difference when a team feels confident and empowered and not worried about, making a mistake. That's what really pushes, that envelope forward. But to come on to you specifically, I wanted to come on to you specifically. Okay. So to be ranked as the highest ranking broker in the Dubai Land Department multiple times, and to be listed as the top performing agency across the biggest, most reputable, largest developers, not only globally, but like in the region. So Saleem, what's your secret?
I think more to do with See, it's absolutely hard work which is there. Um, Dedicated to get there is also a major role.
Mm.
Because I remember until 20 to a certain year we were always in the top, and at that time once you are focused, it's just the fact that you need to be um, working at the right times. You need to get up early. You need to be at the right places at the right time. But apart from that, you got to be honest. You know, very clean intentions, absolutely clean intentions, and rest you have to leave it up on Allah Taala.
Yeah.
How life will take. Yes, we nobody is a saint here, of course,
Of
but
course,
yeah,
of course, yeah.
it would be but it would be a very false statement. But we have tried our best.
Yeah.
And in the business that we are in, more importantly, this requires very, very honest advice. And I tell my people also, although we've reached to at that point in life, but I keep on reminding my people that the advice that you give to the customer is very important, because you've got a lot on your plate to sell.
Yeah.
But if you see our achievements, if you see our places that we've reached, I think we are with the big five or the top tier developers in Dubai.
Absolutely.
So starting from Emaar,
Yeah.
almost I think 60% of Dubai real estate is around Emaar.
Wow.
And just last year we were ranked as the number one agency
With
Emaar. And it's not just the number one agency. We've been either two, either three, either in the top five for the last almost 7 or 8 years.
Yeah.
So that shows that our idea and our intention is to work for the top and sell the best of the best in Dubai.
Absolutely.
Which
yeah.
brings about the right kind of results for our clients.
Sure.
So then it answers your question for the fact of making sure we are working honestly, ethically, staying content to where we are, because when we manifest what we want, it may take a while, but you'll get there.
Yeah.
And this is what has happened.
Sure.
If you see our journey, I was always dedicated to the fact that we want to be the number one agency.
Yeah.
And I would get to 3, but I would next morning get up and get back to start working for the next year. And not alone, with my team.
Of course. Yeah. One thing you said, a key thing there, which is especially in real estate, is honesty and transparency. And from my research about you and the way you speak and the way you present yourself and the initiatives that I know we'll get into a little bit later, that you've done to give back to communities, show that the intention is clean, it's good, it's pure. Now, obviously you've been in real estate here for 20 years. I've maybe dabbled in like once or twice, just like dipped my toe to see, what's going on. And as you hear from a lot of people here, it's, as they say, it's the wild, wild west over here in Dubai, the market. There's a lot of good, but there's also a lot of, not the most ethical practices that some brokers like to, undertake. So would you say Dubai is the wild, wild west, or is that too harsh to say?
Absolutely not.
Oh, really?
Absolutely not.
Okay, I was surprised. I'm surprised to hear that. Okay,
there's no reason for people. Dubai has been a game changer for almost everybody who has been in the real estate industry. Not only now, but even the last few decades, actually. It has been as you've heard probably, the American dream, and now it's all about the dream of UAE, where people are actually landing up here and building their careers. And I've seen a lot of people having not good enough means in the last 2 decades to see them grow and build careers. And if you talk about why a real estate industry, I think every industry has its cycles.
Sure.
And the fact is that here people do not realize that the industry that they are part of whether they are brokers, whether they are investors, whether they are developers, whether they are contractors, is that they are blessed to be part of an industry like this in UAE.
Okay.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, where do you get a chance to, if the recent examples I see, properties have actually doubled up in the last 3 years.
Yeah,
right?
that's true, yeah.
So how could you call it a wild, wild west? It is an opportunity which people have to wait to get. So people who bought it in 2015, 16 have actually, 18 maybe, have actually turned around and doubled up on their investment.
Absolutely,
And now, if it would stabilize and it would not keep on continuing to grow on the same note every year, then there are certain kind of people who would come and say like that. But they should understand that it is a cycle which is always there. And I believe with this point in time, with the kind of infrastructure that this place provides us, you know, you've got the best airports, you've got the best airlines, you know, Emirates, Etihad is here. You've got the best infrastructure, the best malls, you know.
Geographically located.
Healthcare, one of the best healthcares. Education-wise, I'm sitting in one of the best universities. You've got one in Sharjah, few universities in other parts. So, where do all of these dots connect in a country apart from UAE at this point in time?
That's a good point.
Anywhere in the world.
That's true.
Safety. Security.
Yeah, that's massive.
You saw the rains earlier.
Yeah.
People left their cars on the road for a week. Nobody did anything.
Yeah.
You know, if this was any other place in Europe or London,
it would have been a different story.
Can you wear a watch like you are wearing right now?
No.
Walk around at night or drive around? No. So, you know, there are a lot of positives. There would be always certain kind of people who would have those kind of thoughts.
Of course.
And we cannot negate them.
Yeah. I can just the reason I brought that up is just from what I've heard or seen people that I know the experiences that they've gone through, and sometimes in a majority of the cases it's fine, but sometimes you remember we typically remember only the horror stories or the bad ones. But what you said about Dubai being a prime place for real estate is so spot on. Talking about the location, the safety, makes it very attractive for investors to come in as well. And Dubai is continuously innovating, like with Expo and these massive projects and stuff. So there's always something going on. You said in 2024, for when it comes to real estate, that hospitality, tech-driven developments, and sustainable real estate will shape the market. Could you tell us a little bit more about why do you think the market is going to be heading in that direction?
So there is a change that is anticipated. What was Expo all about? It was all based on sustainability.
Yes.
Right. Recently, I've been in talks with bringing a technology from US, but it's a Latvian company behind, where they have these solar facades.
Okay.
So, which is not a trend here, or even in the Middle East, or even that's the only company doing it right now, is that the solar, these glass facades that you see on buildings here, it would be solar backed. So you would be able to, so you will be able to generate electricity while even it's looking so amazing from the facade of it.
That's amazing.
So that is the change that we see.
I see. Okay.
And that's where the industry is heading with all the climate change and everything, and then hospitality is part of the system here. There's so much tourism. There is so many activities, exhibitions, games. So much happening in this part of the world, in the region. So I can consider this to be a new trend, which is already in place since the last couple of years.
Yeah.
It's just that I see it growing more and more due to those many reasons, where people prefer to be in this part of the world now more than they prefer to be on the west side.
Exactly, and that's such a good point. And I think one of the things Dubai does very well is the consistent innovation will always bring about, that means new business opportunities and a more international market to the region, both here and globally. And So I've been watching a lot of, I've watched a lot of real estate, podcasts. 'Cause I like to learn. And there's this whole debate going on. So I want to hear from an expert like yourself, where you fall. So there's the camp that says you should never buy a house, just rent forever. And then there's the camp that says, no, buying a house is the right thing to do, and it's an investment in, your future. Now, I know it's hard to answer, and I see you smiling. Where do you fall? Because I didn't know only until recently, like growing up, and I think a lot of us growing up, I had always been under the assumption: you grow up, you go to school, you get married, you get a house, you buy your own house, and you have kids. Great.
Yeah.
But now, over the last few years, I've heard people give a different perspective. And when you look at numbers and whatever, does this investment, are you taking into account all the additional costs that come with it? Not just buying the house, the maintenance, what will it depreciate in 10 years? A lot of different factors go into it, obviously. But from your perspective, your experience, if I'm someone coming to you, I'm like, Saleem, I have the money to buy and I do have the money to rent. What advice are you going to have to me, and what's your philosophy behind buying versus renting?
So it really depends what is the timeline of yourself in a particular city or a particular country.
The timeline.
Timeline. If you're here for 2 years, then it makes a lot of sense to just rent it, right? But if you are here for a longer period, you want to stay here, retire here, then you should always buy. Because generally real estate appreciates with the passage of time.
Mm-hmm.
We here have had bad habits of seeing growth, amazing growth happening in the last 2 decades. You've seen markets turn around in a very different manner compared to the other parts of the world.
Sure.
So it all depends. For example, if you are in your home country, for example, and if you would have asked me that question, then it would be a yes.
Okay.
But if you are in anywhere else in the world on a 2-year plan, of course, then it is always wise to rent, right?
Sure.
So,
sure.
but in a general concept, like best is to buy a house, but a house that can cater to your needs for a longer period. So it's better to wait. So, for instance, if you have an X amount of money today, and that doesn't cater to your need, but just because sometimes people do end up buying for many different reasons also.
Sure, of course.
Not only for the purpose of buying, they probably have an ego factor there. Maybe they have a social pressure there.
Of course.
Maybe they have this things to catch up to, and here you'd always be catching up to somebody else.
Yeah, for sure.
So keeping that in mind,
Sure.
You should wait until you get to the point that you can get the right thing for yourself.
Okay.
And here, honestly, there is always opportunities.
Absolutely.
Always.
Absolutely.
It's never the right time. You could be at a right time, or you could not be at a right time.
Yeah.
So whenever you have the funds ready, whenever you're ready to buy, it's always a wise decision to buy if you are for at least your plan is more than 5 years.
Okay.
If it is below 5 years, then it's wise to rent it, and then they have the opportunity to move around.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think that makes a lot of sense. I think timeline is a very important factor that I didn't really think about. Another one I heard was your position in your life. If you have kids, do you want them to have like their own khalas, this is the home that they will grow up in, and so on. Like you said about social factors, there's so many different things that might push you to buy a house that maybe is not the best idea to do.
It doesn't suffice to your needs, probably. And still you would just end up buying it, and then you would be regretting it later on.
Yeah.
Right? So, and there is many other reasons as well.
Sure. I wanted to come on, Saleem, take you a little bit back to, your family.
Yeah.
And I know you mentioned earlier in our conversation that your father owned a textile company, and from the research I did, that you grew up in a family of innovators and dreamers. So could you tell me about how did, growing up, seeing your dad, I guess, running his own business, and I guess the mindset and beliefs he instilled in you that have, helped you push through to innovate and dream and build and get to where you are today?
So spending almost 14 years with him, and that's when he departed. I think what I learned during that time was all these, I think, the qualities or I feel that I have in me, or I've incorporated from him, whether it may be doing the work in a certain manner, the ethics of work, and working honestly, having the accounts in proper manner all the time. And I remember that he gave me a few indications, maybe a few weeks before he passed away, that don't do these things. And those things which I did try and do, even though he had told me before he departed, was not to do this, don't get into bank loans. And I tried and I did, and I burnt my fingers. And don't get into certain works which leverage business, like for example forex trading on leverage business.
Sure. Oh yeah, that's
and I did it, and I burnt my fingers.
I've been there too, burnt some fingers too.
I always since it was a family business, and I saw my father working very hard and growing the business from a small setup to a huge business back home, but it was a joint family system, so the whole family was in it together. I could see the way he would be also working towards those innovations of bringing machinery from the West in those times, from Italy, and creating new trends in the industry at that time, in the textile industry at that time, which he would be working for. But along the lines, my wife is also an alumni, by the way, from the university.
Oh, no way. Shout out to
Sahar. Her name is Sahar.
Shout out to Sahar.
Yeah. So, and when I got married, they come from a business family also.
Okay, great.
Yeah, so everything worked together.
So everyone on the same vibe.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good recipe for success, I think.
Yeah.
And you mentioned you've spoken very highly of your family and the support of your family and your faith in God to be pivotal to your success. And I think one thing that a lot of entrepreneurs don't have, even like sometimes myself when I'm trying to build my business, is I do have a support system, but there's a difference between having like a support system that is like your friends and your family who care and love you, but also having the right business support system at the same time to help you, during that time. So from your experience, how important is creating the right support system in order for you to like build something like you have?
So it's very emotional, but to be honest, so apart from the business support system that we have in place, my wife and my mom, these are two people who have sailed through me. Of course, then the rest of the family also, but actually stood by me in the worst times that I've seen in my career. And this success has not just come with only the good days.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure.
I have in this process come to points of giving up a number of times. And when I would come back home, and my mom, her prayers, and my wife standing by me in the times when I've thought, okay, tomorrow morning I'm going to go and probably just discuss how we can go ahead and close this, because it's so much stress, so much pressure. And every time that I've gone into that situation and they've guided me to not do something of that sort at that particular point in time, and then my friends in the business who are with me in the business, who have identified that you are the person where we all evolve and revolve around it.
You're the link. You're the nucleus. Link. Yeah.
Whether it is my partner here in Dubai, both of them in Dubai, or back home, which we created but I'm talking about not very recently, I'm talking about going back like 6-7 years ago when we did not have international offices, is the fact that, and every time that has happened, couple of months down the line, we've seen the kind of turnaround that has happened. So at times you need that kind of support system.
Absolutely.
Always.
Yeah.
And I am lucky, alhamdulillah, Allah has been very, very kind to me. The
Alhamdulillah.
people and the partners that have had in my life, whether it has been the early part or whether it has been the latter part, I have always had good people around me. The people who were not probably good to me, Allah has its own ways to make them go far away from me at the right time. So you have to have that strong faith always to believe that whatever is happening in your life, it is happening by the will of God and the right time He thinks for you to be having this at this point in time or no.
This is the challenge you need now.
So
basically.
if He wishes, you have to be happy on His whatever He has willed or whatever His decree is, and you will see a way out on every situation.
Yeah.
This was not in me till a few years ago. Maybe when I was in the university, I would think like that. When I got
really?
into business, after a few years, my faith started to deter a bit.
Waver.
I was probably not able to understand why this has happened. So once, I could have actually not gone towards the merger at one point in time. When I discussed with you, I'd bought over the company, and I could have easily probably gone ahead and shut it down. And when I went towards the merger, a few years down the merger, we were still seeing a tough time.
Yeah,
it was not easy.
Yeah.
And I would think to myself, why did I have to do that? I could have been good individually.
Yeah, true.
Why have the headache of the company and the team and the staff and the growth and why? I don't. And when we saw the result in a year and a half's time after that, when I would be thinking on those, I would like, no, Allah has a different plan, And then in COVID times, when things, nobody was expecting in such an age and time of the modern world that you would see a lockdown.
Yeah.
So I was like, we were doing just fine in Dubai. Why did we have to go ahead and take this risk of opening up London on the Park Street, just in the center of London, or start an operation in Pakistan unnecessarily?
Yeah.
When everything was just going fine and we could have avoided it.
Yeah.
And everything is all of a sudden gone to a lockdown and a shutdown.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it happened to be that at that time again I was thinking, why have we done that? There was no need. And that why feeling gives you the biggest negativity in your mind, and you're always thinking about it.
Yeah.
And those days we were sitting at home, so continuously thinking about it.
Why?
And stress was building, life was getting difficult.
Yeah.
And just as we opened up and we saw things take a 360 turn, and we've not looked back since then. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
So if you put it on that side, it is always a very, very different route that is planned for you, and it is always very different to how you are thinking.
Yeah, exactly.
And if once you have that agreed to your mindset that whatever is happening in your life, there is a reason behind it, and you accept it with a very content heart and a very grateful heart, trust me, you will get to places.
Life becomes a lot easier, right?
It does. And it took me a very long time to get there and to understand this as a...
For sure, man. I love that point so much. Honestly, this is a very refreshing conversation for me, because I've been over the last, I think, year going through everything that you're talking about. Is kind of where my brain's been going as well. Still trying to figure things out, but coming back to that piece of like, what, this is supposed to happen right now. It is what it is. I don't know what this is supposed to do later, but I can accept that as now. Yeah. And I think if you as a person, honestly, you can get to that truly deeply, like inside, you will live a beautiful life regardless of what phase or what the level or anything you're at, to be honest. That's what I believe.
Absolutely. I think everything has its right time.
Yeah.
And everything will happen at the right time.
Yeah.
No matter what you do, how much of a Superman you think to yourself that you would be. If it is meant to happen, and I have been in situations, trust me, I have been in situations where, I'll give you an example. Yesterday, I was in the office. and April has been uh, a very long stop holidays for the whole industry here
Sure.
with Eid holidays and the rains and all. And I was just thinking to myself, not had probably worked towards something. Uh, and I just walked out of my room and I saw a colleague of mine and I asked him, I haven't seen you in the last few days. I saw on Instagram you were traveling. How's business happening? Have you closed anything? I've not seen you closing anything. So we started having a chat, and he's like, actually, I have closed something of your client just now.
Oh, no way.
And I was thinking to myself an hour before that, we've not really closed something in the last week or so as much. And it just happened to be that when it has meant to happen, it is meant to happen from somebody who I was not even thinking to meet in that particular day.
Sure.
So yeah, that's how it is.
That's awesome, man. I really, really love that. And I can see, I admire sitting with people across from you that I see have, I feel genuine peace. They're at peace, inside. And it's something I'm jealous of. So when I'm working to get there.
Yeah.
Saleem, I want to be conscious of our time. So I just have three more questions for you.
Sure, take your time.
So first I wanted to ask, I know you lost your father at the age of 14, and your mom raised, basically took on the role of father and mother and raised you. And you talked about earlier how the things you learned from your father about, being humble, being kind, giving back to community, these are things that he instilled from you from a very young age. Even the entrepreneurial mindset of bringing, different machines and new technology, and let's try that. If he was here now, and you're sitting across from him, what would he say about what you've done?
So I think...
How do you think he would feel?
Of course, like my mom, she's a proud mom, and she's very excited to each time that I go on stage. And she's like that, you've become a hero for a lot of people, and you've become a huge example for people back home and in the industry here.
Absolutely.
And I can't be more prouder than what I am today. And I think he would have the similar kind of thought process too. Of course, these are great achievements, I believe, which Allah has been kind to us to get us to this point. But I feel, that the thing that always keeps me grounded, more importantly, is the fact that, as I mentioned to you in the beginning of the conversation, that I still remember those conversations 2 weeks before he departed, is the fact that I feel that he's always watching me, and the good part that he has in, which I have probably learned from him, and which is in me still with the side of philanthropy,
absolutely,
with the side of giving back to the community, making sure that people around me are doing the same way or doing exactly how I am doing. See, everything in life is not about financial thing.
Yeah,
it's not about you relate to people around you with who's got how much money.
Yeah,
I don't make friends on the basis of their financial situation.
Sure.
But I know that around us there are kind of individuals who think that way.
Yeah.
Right. I still have friends from my school days. So he would have been ecstatic, excited, proud. Every father, like I would be to my children.
Yeah.
Right. But more than that, I think that I have this feeling that he's watching, and he's probably happy in his place to think that his child, who always aspired to become something. I would see people giving interviews on TV. In those days, we did not have these fancy things and podcasts and social media and all. But I would see people giving interviews on TV, sports stars, superstars. And at the back of your subconscious mind, you would always have something that you would want to
That's
be.
What I want. Yeah, exactly.
You would want to give it, but you would be imagining, but I'm not doing anything of that sort. And the age is also taking time to be able to be on that stage.
Sure.
But Allah has its own ways to bring you somewhere, however and wherever and
Wherever.
wherever. Yeah.
Absolutely, man. And with it seems, listening to your reaction to that question and how you're speaking about it and the smile and whatever, it's a very beautiful thing. Even I was getting emotional with you, like, talking about it. But yeah, I'm sure he would be nothing but ecstatic of everything you've accomplished.
Absolutely.
So congrats on that.
Thank you very much.
And on that, to the next point, Saleem, with all the achievements that you've done, everything you've accomplished so far, it almost, from an outside perspective, I'd be like, oh, Saleem has reached the top of the ladder. Khalas, he's hit the ceiling, and this is the top. There isn't more. But of course, no matter who I speak to in the world, no matter what position you are, high, low, whatever, everyone has that, like, a dream. So I guess what's your dream?
No, I have accomplished what I've dreamt for. Those accomplishments have, you could put it this way, what I wished for, dreamt for, manifested, all of them get together to create a word which I'm not aware of. But it's something that has happened to my life.
Yeah.
Of course, we still have those aspirations and inspirations that we take from people, or we aspire for things, or we admire things, or we want to desire for a few things in our lives. That remains. And that... whatever, alhamdulillah, whatever I have dreamt has come true at a right time in my life so far.
Yeah.
Those dreams keep on building up every day when you see certain accomplishments happening. And this was a question one of my friends at Emar also asked me, that now that you've reached number one, what next? So I was like, now I want to be the highest ever number one company sold in
so
a year.
The most number one.
So I mean to say the highest sold for the developer by any agency in a year.
Oh, I see. Okay.
This is the plan for this year then.
Okay. Okay, I like that.
We are in the direction.
All right.
So hopefully in the next few days we'll be probably having awards again for the first quarter 2024. And we are aiming for top position there, but I'm aiming for a better year, even a better year this year.
Absolutely.
So that's what it is. Of course, the ideal situation is to live a comfortable and for life for yourself, create a good life for your children.
Yeah.
And take care of the people around you, whether they are friends, whether they are family, whether they are distant relatives, whether anybody that you are not aware of also.
Yeah. Ranking,
so I'm now hoping to sell the
most
and maintain the position.
Exactly, yeah.
If Allah wills, and while maintaining it, sell, because in a calendar year as an agency they can sell a certain amount. They usually end up selling. So we achieved a bigger number last year, but we want to beat that this year. But along the lines, I want to make sure that we're all fine, comfortable, healthy. Health is first.
Absolutely.
Sometimes people ask me, what do you ask, or what should we ask to God? The first thing, and I believe it's always health.
Health, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
If the last couple of years have taught us anything, that no matter where you are financially, if you don't have health, you don't have anything.
Nothing.
You know what
I've
I mean?
seen so many people pass away.
Exactly. Yeah. And so for my last question, Saleem, this is a question that we ask all our guests. So the whole idea behind this podcast is we wanted to showcase that success comes in many forms and learning never stops. From everyone I've had the privilege of speaking to, I've learned from. Everyone has a different story. Everyone has made different mistakes. There's different lessons, but everyone has reached or has gotten to their position or their definition of what success looks like for them. And they all talk about, every successful person talks about, you never stop learning. So I know it's very hard to pinpoint like a specific learning that really changed your life throughout your career. I'm sure you've learned many. But if I was to tell you, Saleem, you can give me one piece of advice or one learning that you think would have or had a massive impact on you that it would have on me, what would you say to that?
So again, I would say I'm still learning how to not do that what you were asking me, because if I were to say it would not be 100% true thing, because never fall for the same mistake again. Right?
Never fall from the same mistake again.
Yeah. And that's what we keep on repeatedly do even now. So that's what I'm saying. So
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
But I think we've always, I think, as individuals, kept on changing our learning concepts also.
Yeah.
Right. So it all boils down to the fact that, you know, I can say a lot.
I'm sure.
On
I know.
this,
I know.
So that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. It's better to not repeat the same mistake, because you repeat the mistake again, then it's not a mistake.
Exactly.
It is.
That's
Yeah.
true. That's true.
So,
Yeah.
and we've had that in the past. We keep on doing the same, or we keep on going back to the same people who've probably harmed us, or we've gone back to the same business opportunity that has not worked for us. You know, if we've gone and done the same error on probably working on, you know, some leverage options, because it entices you. These things which are wrong, they entice you the more.
They're very tempting.
Which are right are not tempting enough, right? So don't fall for the same mistakes again, and just remain focused in life. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the true definition of learning is to not repeat a past mistake. That's the definition of I have learned, or I have grown, I have changed my behavior.
Yes.
I'm not who I was before.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. And I think you summed it up, you know, beautifully in that sentence. You're 100% right. Saleem, I wanted to say, man, thank you so much for coming on the show today. This has been an absolute pleasure and honor for me. I've learned so much from you about real estate and entrepreneurship. I'm also building my business, so, you know, I like to learn from people that are ahead of me and have done things as well. I think so many people listening to this can take so much away from the conversation about determination, about thinking outside the box, about being humble, giving back. I know we didn't get a chance to touch on, you know, the Shahed Foundation and all the amazing work that you guys do with them as well. But we'll save that maybe for round 2.
Yeah.
If people want to reach out with you, work with you, connect with you guys, what's the best place for us to get in touch?
They can get in touch with me via any channel. I am on Instagram, any social media channel, or my mobile number. If
Perfect.
I can share that with you.
Sure.
Moreover, I would like to wish you good luck for the ventures that you're planning to do in your life.
Thank you.
I would like to thank the university for choosing me as an individual to come here and talk and give my thoughts. I really appreciate that. And, you know, the university have had a major role in my career, as I mentioned in the beginning of the conversation. And it brings me back memories for, you know, living in the dorms, not thinking that if I go back in those days, I would be talking in this just garden right in front of the E-building.
E-building,
you know, that one day I would be doing this in life. And those friends of mine keep on reminding me that, do you remember those AUDs days when you would be talking about? So all these planning and these manifestation have happened in these gardens here. You know.
Yeah.
So like I have a lot of attachment to this place, and I'm glad to be coming here, and, you know, appreciate the respect and the honor that you guys have given. Looking forward to seeing you guys again.
For sure.
In probably the round 2, as you mentioned, and, you know, play a role in, you know, inspiring kids to actually, you know, dream for what they want to. And
Absolutely.
You know, I was not a great student, by the way. I was always not a what do you call that, the summa cum laude? I was not that kind.
I was nowhere near that either, so don't worry. Same page. That's all right.
But thank you once again.
Thank you, Saleem. It's been an absolute pleasure, guys. To everyone listening, thank you so much for your time. Please make sure to, you know, like, share, follow, and subscribe to the podcast on aud.edu. And as always, thank you so much again.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Saleem, and we'll see you guys next time.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the AUD podcast channel. We really hope that you enjoyed it and learned something from it. We have a lot of incredible guests lined up for you on the show, and we're so excited to bring you their inspiring stories. To stay up to date with all the latest episode releases, please make sure to like, share, follow, and subscribe to the podcast on the AUD Instagram page at AUD Dubai.